the Bhagavad Gita. When we start a discourse on a scripture, we have something called the Mangalacharan. It means an auspicious undertaking which is commenced with a prayer. So we will take this well-known verse, introductory verse in the Bhagavad Gita. I'll chant it in Sanskrit and then translate it. Sarva Upanishad Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandana Partha Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Maha. The meaning of the verse is, the entire body of the Upanishadic literature is like a cow, and the cowherd boy is the baby Krishna, and the calf is Arjuna, and the milk is the supreme nectar which is called the Gita, and which is ingested or which is drunk by people of purified intellect. So in invoking these two entities, Krishna as well as Arjuna, and the purport of the scripture, we are calling on them so that they will protect us. As the other slokas or verses say, the teacher as well as the thought, the one who speaks and the one who listens should be protected. And why? Because the knowledge which is being imparted and which is being received is sacred. So that's the reason why we start with auspicious prayer, the beginning of an auspicious prayer. And the Upanishads now are like the body of a cow. But the cow needs to have fodder, it needs to eat, and the whole of the Vedas are like that pasture. And the cow has gone through this pasture, eaten, has ruminated, and converted that fodder, that Vedas into something called the milk of immortality. We will today take the second chapter, the third verse. We had decided to commence with the second chapter because Swami Vivekananda himself had commenced on the second chapter. And wherever there is a psychological need to interpret the first chapter, I'll do that. So in explanations, we will also cover the first chapter. So we are not going to let it rest in peace. This chapter is called the Sankhya Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, or Jnana Yoga, as we say. There are a couple of things that I need to address. Swami Vivekananda says that one gets the benefit of reading the whole of the Gita if one repeats this verse. Here we are. We are on that verse today. Klaibyam asmagama partha naitatva yupapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktvo tishta parantapaha. Each teacher has selected a particular verse in the Gita saying that this is the essence of the Gita. Shankaracharya has a particular verse, Mat Karma Krit Mat Paramo, at the end of the 11th chapter. Similarly, Ramanujacharya says, you surrender everything, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, you surrender everything to me. And according to Vivekananda, this is the essence of the Gita. And what does it say? It simply means, yield not to unmanliness or to feebleness, O son of Pritha. It does not befit you. Cast off this petty faint-heartedness and arise, O vanquisher of foes. We generally, when we see weakness, our human tendency is to criticize. It takes a magnanimous person to see the cause of that weakness and not criticize, but show that strength which is latent in that person. So this verse is spoken by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Now again, who is Bhagavan? The Lord, one who knows the birth and the death of all creatures, one who knows one's capacity or incapacity, and one who knows in whom there is knowledge and in whom there is ignorance. In all creatures, that is called Bhagavan. This particular explanation comes from the Vishnu Purana. So there in the Vishnu Purana, it is said, Utpattim pralayamschaiva bhutanam agatim gatim, etc. So the Lord, He knows each and every being. You know, in the Bible also it's saying that He notes even the sparrow's fall. For us, a sparrow is insignificant. That's the reason why we have become narrow. But to the Lord, everything is significant. Everything is precious. So the Lord, He knows the past, the present, and the future of all beings. And what are their particular orientations? How much knowledge do they have? How much ignorance do they have? So this Lord, He tells Arjuna this. What is this? Don't yield to all this feeble-mindedness. What's wrong with you? You are a great hero. Now, there are 2 or 3 things that we would like to explain before we can go to the actual meaning of this. The Lord comes for a sole purpose of establishing dharma, religion, in the present age, and the teaching is tailored accordingly. Here in the colophon of every chapter, we have the Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra, the knowledge of Brahman. This is the knowledge of Brahman. This is the treatise on yoga. The Lord, it was those days when, or that age, when there was diverse views on the knowledge of Brahman. There were diverse paths of yoga. There were diverse religious ideals, each one vying to establish his or her sect or his or her doctrine. There was a need of that age for someone to harmonize all these various doctrines, religious doctrines, yoga doctrines, and the knowledge of Brahman. That's the reason why Sri Krishna is called the Samanvaya Acharya. He is a prophet of harmony. He harmonized everything. It was saying, on the battlefield, saying, yes, what better place than here? And it was found that Arjuna means one who is pure, white. It means white, Arjuna. It has various meanings, but white, one who is pure. First he tells Arjuna, where has this weakness come upon thee? Don't yield to it. Arjuna, he calls Arjuna as the son of Pritha, Partha. And throughout the Gita, we have this son of Pritha. Pritha was not an ordinary woman. She was not an ordinary mother. And you all were born by the grace of the gods. And here you are, weeping. Don't you feel ashamed of yourself? You had such a great mother. You had such great brothers. And here you are. You had come here to fight. And now you are saying that the bow has slipped out of my hand. I am feeling feverish. My mind is whirling. And he collapses on the chariot. The first work of the Lord is to wake him up from his delusion, to remind Arjuna his real nature. And that's what the scriptures try to do to us. They do not tell us, oh, you are sinners, you are the damned. No! We've got a remarkable heritage. We've got you can say spiritual, you can say goal, and we are spiritual beings. Why do you say the sinners? No. Arjuna momentarily was overcome by something called the delusion. That is the result of the tamas, the quality of tamas. That is darkness. When a person is overpowered by that darkness, he gets bewildered. He or she gets bewildered. What exactly is my duty? Which he will point out. If Arjuna was full of sattva guna, that light and luminosity, that knowledge, persons of sattva quality, they are equipoised in pain and pleasure, in good and bad, in victory and defeat. That is the attitude one should have when you're coming out to do battle. Because you do not know. Either you're going to get killed or you have to kill. And this is not a time to weep. Oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? No. This is Sri Krishna infusing strength in him. So, klaibhyam masmagama partha, in the sense that don't yield to this impotency, don't yield to this lack of courage, this fortitude. And Arjuna is a kind of a locus. He had taken on the responsibility of fighting the enemy, because the enemy had taken everything from them. And they had decided, we will not give you even land. which can hold a drawing pin. That's that. Even a pinhead piece of land will not be given to you. They were kings. They were the royal. They were royalty, and yet he was saying, "Oh, forget it. Let's go." He is the locus. The locus of the two contending armies is Kurukshetra, the battlefield. But he is the locus of responsibility. He's trying to shirk his responsibility. And why should Sri Krishna say, Klaibhyam? Why are you acting like somebody who's weak? You've got to take on the responsibilities. And the moment you take on your responsibilities, you are the creator of your destiny. You are the one who is going to integrate yourself. We don't need persons who run away from responsibilities. Responsibilities are a pain. It involves struggles. But it forms your character. So indirectly, Sri Krishna is telling this, don't try to escape. Don't try to rationalize. Stand up here and fight. You see, they are the cynosure of all eyes, the contending armies standing, and Arjuna and Sri Krishna in a chariot, and the chariot is placed in the center of both the armies. They had their formation, and the formation was sometimes like a eagle, sometimes like a sword, and the other army used to have a kind of a shield. Different, you can say, formations were there. It was the strategy in the ancient days when armies used to stand on the field and fight, but they had different formations. So the armies were ready, they were in formation, and here they are looking at these two on the chariot. One has collapsed, and another one's berating this. Yes. So you are simply irresponsible. You've come here to fight, and now you've chickened out. Simple as that. And you are talking big. Some of the arguments in the first chapter are superb, which Arjuna places before us. Why he shouldn't fight. But that will not hold with the Lord. He simply brushes it aside. And this is what he says, Klaibhyam Masmagatpartha. So don't yield to that, you can say, weaknesses. And what does he say? It does not befit you. Na etad upapadyate. It does not befit you. You are a hero. And people look up to you. And the enemies look up to you with fear. And this does not befit you. This is building up self-confidence. We need to take up religion or the pursuit of any ideal with confidence, without any cobwebs in your brain, without any doubts. So that person will wake up from that sleep of delusion, and so it does not befit you. And this is a message for all of us. It is not that Arjuna is in a dilemma there. We too are often found to be in a dilemma, whether I should do this or that, whether people criticize me or no. What will people say? What will do? Do I have the stamina to continue with this, what I'm doing? I'm beset with doubts and anxiety and stress. And this is the time when if somebody says, it does not befit you, you are competent, you have the strength within you, take it up. And here we have the Lord saying, this petty faint-heartedness, petty in the sense it can be easily overcome also. It's small. Or it could mean, oh, it does not befit you, and you are such a magnanimous person, and suddenly you have sunk down into a kind of a meanness, a pettiness. So here he is saying, the word used is kshudram, small, something small. Hridaya is the heart. Daurbalyam is weakness. This is petty weaknesses of the heart. The heart in the sense of the mind. And what does he say? Discard it and rise up. This is Tyakto Uttishta Bharata. You get up. You throw off this petty heartedness and get up. This is the call for action. You know, that's what a hero is. As Joseph Campbell would say, there is a call for action. A person who's in ordinary circumstances, he is called to proceed to act. And this is the hero. And he delineates the stages of the hero's journey. It's wonderful. Wonderful. So similarly, here Sri Krishna is calling on Arjuna. Get up now. This is your call. Your call to act now. So that heroic Arjuna now will stand. Of course, he still has some misgivings, because there is nothing greater than killing a guru. Killing a guru, a grandfather. You have your brothers. He still has misgivings, but they will all be eradicated slowly, one by one. We have the next verse, which is Arjuna says, we will leave a 10 or 15 minutes towards the end for any questions. I think I can. The book says, the commentators, there are various commentators and the various translations. And one of the commentators says that you've got to shift your center of gravity from you have two aspects. One is the aspect of your body and mind, and another aspect is that which transcends the body and mind. This is very important, because if this transcendent aspect wasn't there in our lives, everything would become mundane. We would get exhausted with this mundane work and material outlook. There is something within us which is intuited by each and every person, that there is something transcendent in this body and mind. The idea is shift your gravity towards that transcendent aspect. So this will bring meaning and purpose to all your mundane actions. It is like you shift to your transcendent aspect and then keep on doing all your work, and you know that this work is a form of a kind of a worship of that transcendent self of mine. This is spirituality. When you shift towards that transcendent self, get established, and then work. In this case, fight. So Arjuna is now called to act. He is awoken from his delusion. His misgivings are in the 4th verse. Arjuna vacha katam bhishma maham sankye dronam cha madhusudana ishubi pratiyotsyami puja harvarisudana. Arjuna says, and he says with trepidation, O slayer of Madhusudana. Arjuna had slain, even as a child, the demon Madhu. And that's why one of his names is Madhusudana. And he uses another epithet for Krishna, Arisudana, a destroyer of enemies. It's a kind of an appeal. Why, Arjuna, see, you have the prowess. You are the slayer of Madhu, a terrific demon that was tormenting people. You could do that. You are the, you can say, the vanquisher of enemies. And me here, how can I counteract, or you say counter-attack Bhishma and Drona? Bhishma was his grandfather, and Drona was his teacher. And both were his gurus. Both were noble-minded. And here he is saying, they are worthy of worship. O slayer of Madhu, O slayer of enemies, how shall I, with my arrows, counter-attack Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of worship? Oh yes, they are worthy of worship. But as we know, Arjuna's hidden message is, you could do that. Why me? You could do that. You have the prowess. And besides, they are my grandfather guru and my teacher. They are worthy of worship. You cannot even talk loudly in front of them. You cannot sit down on the same level as them. And me to take up weapons against them, it's impossible. There was one incident in Ridgely Manor where Swami Vivekananda and Swami Turiyananda, they were all there, and then Turiyananda, he spent the night sleeping on the floor. And when asked, why did you do that? You had a bed. Yes, but Vivekananda is sleeping on that same level. He's using that other bed, he's sleeping. I cannot sleep on that same level as Vivekananda. So, this is the kind of veneration people have for gurus. Saying, you can die 1,000 deaths. Don't ever besmear the reputation of your guru. You go and you can go to hell, but see that your guru is glorified. Because it is the guru that has given you knowledge. And it is actually through knowledge that one lives. Man does not live by bread alone. Give us this day our daily bread. Wait. But every word that comes from the mouth of God. Here we are. These people were godlike. The gurus were godlike. They taught you the essence of this knowledge of the Brahman. You cannot kill them. Impossible. That's the last thing you do. Rather kill yourself and then kill the gurus. So he's trying to, you can do that. You are the Lord. And besides, see, you know them. They have done all the misdeeds also. But it is said, that in the lordly and the majestic, sometimes they are found to do some deeds which are blameworthy. But that blame does not attach itself to that doer because of their majesty and their, you can say, large-heartedness in other areas. Like they give the example, like fire, you throw anything in it, it consumes it, converts it into fuel. So similarly, these people with their large-mindedness, with that magnanimity, with that majesty and glory and that knowledge, these small things does not tarnish them. Yes, Bhishma said that wealth is no slave to a person. No, a person is a slave to wealth, but a person is a slave to wealth. I eat the bread of Duryodhana. I mean, the other clan, they maintain me. So I am a little, you can say, soft on them. I have taken up this stand against you. So in this way, these great warriors, these great gurus, they have arrayed themselves against the righteous. They knew who were righteous. And they knew perfectly well, with Sri Krishna on their side, they are going to win. They knew it. But it was the warrior's duty, the warrior's code that made them stand up there and fight. You die, you die. And for the warrior who dies on the battlefield, he goes to the same heaven through which the yogi, through his meditation, reaches. It is performing one's duty without fear and without hesitation. So here we have his dilemma now, a kind of a misgiving. What should I do? Should I kill them? Whatever happens, he had been brought up by Bhishma, the grandsire. Not even he, but all the other children also. And they looked up to him for everything. It's a natural psychological barrier that one will have to overcome. And at times, we too, we hesitate. Yes, I know now, this has to be done. But all my training now is coming now into a kind of coming to an head. I know I can do it. He knew his own prowess. But his upbringing had kind of put a small veil over him. What will people say? And if I can do that, people will follow me. Oh, he killed his guru. Arjuna killed his guru. I can also kill my guru. There you are. Oh, God. It will set a precedence. So we have Arjuna speaking thus. The next verse is a continuation of Arjuna's state of mind, his hesitation. He has been woken up, like he's dusting himself, he stood up. Now, just a few clarifications. What should I do about this? Why don't you do it? So the fifth verse is Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum bhaikshyamapi haloke Hatvarsta kamansta guru nihaiva Bunjiya bhogan rudira pradigdhan. Yeah, this is he's adducing a little more, you can say, argument to his hesitation. The first is, it is better to beg one's food and eat than to slay these great-souled ones. If I kill them, I will get all the wealth and all the enjoyments fit for a king, but these enjoyments and everything that I do will be as it was soaked in blood. Because here I am, I have killed them. And so whatever I do after, that memory will always haunt me. So whatever I sit on my throne, I have all the royal enjoyments, it will be as if they are soaked in blood. The first objection is, as we say that Arjuna was hesitant, it's better to beg one's food and than to kill these people. The first thing he did was he has uncovered his, you can say, wish. I want to give up my duty as a warrior and take up some other duty. You know, in those days, even today, it is swadharma, holding on to one's ideals, even up till death. You shouldn't shift from that ideal. If you give up your ideal, you are dead. The day you give up your ideal, you finish, you're dead. They only live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive, as Vivekananda says. Begging was, religious begging that is, was permitted to only those who were mendicants, monks, those who were devoted to studies, the Brahmins. So these are the people who never had to cook their own meals. Society gave them all the prestige, everything. They were godlike, but they kept them in poverty, in penury. You don't waste your time cooking and cleaning and buying, marketing and this and that. What do? You be devoted to God and the scriptures. We'll take care of your food. So, he as a warrior, he's relinquishing his role as a warrior, his duty as a warrior to take up someone else's duties and life. Those of a mendicant, those of Brahmins. So in the old days, and people would dole out some food. You go to first 3 houses, and if you get something in those 3 houses, you return. If you do not get in the 3 houses you visited, increase it by 2 more. And if you cannot get in 5 homes, you can do 7 homes. And if you cannot get, you go back and stay hungry for the day. And you do it once a day. We don't want a person who's glutton. You eat 3 times a day, 5 times a day. What's this? So in the morning they used to leave their homes and they say, Narayana Hari, Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi. Oh mother, give me alms. And the woman of the house used to come and alms. And even if she wants to give so much, he's saying, no, don't. Give me a little. That's how the bee operates. It goes to this flower, takes a little, goes to this flower, takes a little, it collects. It's called a madhukari. It's like the way of the bee. Take a little, take a little. Don't tax anybody too much. You should not be a burden to anyone else. If somebody's come, oh God, here he has come. Oof. I've got no food for myself, for my children, and here this guy comes. And he has to be offered, he or she has to be offered first. They were mendicants, women mendicants too. The Deviya. So Arjuna first wants to give up his duties and take up the role of a religious mendicant, which is extremely, you can say, it's prohibited. But he wants to do it. It's just kind of, throwing his cards around. So it's better to beg than to fight, than to kill my superiors, my gurus. And then the next argument is, now in case I do kill them, and if I kill them, and Arjuna also knows, and Sri Krishna said, these are the elite warriors. If they can be killed, they can be brought down. The entire army that looks up to them will suddenly feel a kind of a fear, a fright. They'll run away. So the idea is to eliminate these two. Besides, Bhishma said, every day I will kill 10,000 opposing soldiers. 10,000 every day. And this went on for 18 days. Oh God. So he was a super warrior. And the only match was Arjuna. Arjuna could match that warrior skills and spirit with these elite warriors. So they're saying, okay, if we kill them, we'll win. And then we'll regain our empire. Not only a lawful empire, but also their empire, which we have won, obviously. But if we take all this, my future will be as if soaked in blood. Oh, who would want that kind of memory always haunting you? So these are the two questions that Arjuna he puts. Now, a little more about Arjuna. Arjuna also had studied in the ancient system of education. He had studied, apart from his military skills, he had also studied the scriptures. He knew the scriptures, everything. But at a crucial point of time, there is a kind of a blank, It's kind of everything goes blank. You don't know everything. All what you have learned suddenly comes to a kind of a standstill. You get a mental block. And you seek help. It was fortunate that Arjuna had Sri Krishna there to look after his, you can say. Somewhere deep down, he knew that this guy is going to fold. And he volunteered to be his charioteer. He will not pick up any arms. But the knowledge that he gave Arjuna became the cause of victory. In one way, whether this scripture, this long discourse, was uttered on the battlefield or no, where is a time when there's a clanging of armor, and the neighing of horses, and the usual sounds of this battlefield. There is one commentator who says that he gave Arjuna this knowledge in a flash. It flashed in his mind, this entire knowledge. And it is on the mental level where this kind of dialogue took place. So there was no question of how long will you take to speak 18 chapters in the midst of... You cannot. It's not possible. So it flashed in my mind. And this is what actually knowledge does. It flashes. It is instantaneous. You may have ruminated over it for some time, and then slowly when it comes in a flash. This is exactly what... And it comes from a very deep level, not likely to be taken easily or forgotten easily. When things which are really deep, they spring out from one's own real nature. He had trained himself, and now in this crisis, he finds that here there's someone whom I can lay my troubles. For us we can lay all our doubts and our dilemmas and all whatever we have, our fears and our misgivings, to the feet of the Lord and wait. And you see the Lord speaking to you from a very deep layer. The answers come. If there was a question in you, there is always an answer. Always an answer. It is just a matter of turning your perception, turning your attention to a particular solution which you already know and have. Then the misgivings go. There's just a kind of a cloud that came over me. And this is what happens. So, if you take it as a kind of an allegory of what transpires within our minds, it's like in this confusion, the mind is deliberating whether I should do this or that. The Lord who dwells in every heart. One of the meanings of Krishna is one who dwells in every heart. That Lord speaks. And when that inspiration comes, there you are. You are on firm ground. It has come from that transcendent aspect which you intuit vaguely. But it's there, and because it's there, it's intuited, and it is from there the voice of God comes, consoling you, fortifying you, energizing you to stand up and face all the troubles that you will encounter. Existence, ordinary existence, is beset with suffering. There is no doubt. Saints suffer, everybody suffers. Gurus suffer, disciples suffer, everyone. Sri Ramakrishna says, when you take up a body, it's like you rent a house. Well, you got to pay your rent, you got to pay your taxes. So it's as simple as that. Undertaking this kind of paying all the taxes in the form of those troubles and diseases and all the roughnesses of life. Nobody has it easy. Nobody has it easy. We may think that, oh, it's so glamorous. No, don't get deluded with that. We need to stand up, face these struggles, make the good. See, the being is always good. Being is truth. Being is beauty. Once we push back the, you can say, clouds from our minds, we will intuit, we will see that transcendent aspect which is good, which is beneficent, which is beautiful, and which is free from all sorrow. This is the voice of Sri Krishna speaking to us for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, that same voice. Come to me, all you labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And that's what Vivekananda says. Mankind has heard it, and that's why it's a mad rush towards it. And he gives a corresponding verse on the Daivi Hesha Gunamai. This my Maya is divine, is difficult to cross. But come to me, and I will save you from all troubles. This is the assurance given to us by the Lord. This is how we need to look at Arjuna. He is not something distant. We have to internalize Arjuna's dilemma. We have to internalize Arjuna. We also have to internalize the words of Sri Krishna. This is not separate from me. This knowledge exists within me. The Lord exists within me. So these words of the Lord are in today's world more necessary, because we have to face our personal battles. And it's not going to end in 18 days. It's a lifelong battle. And here we are. It will lead us to the highest good. This verse, which he was hesitant, trying to rationalize, trying to escape, trying to give up his own orientation. We shouldn't do that. We've got to stick, hold the thing that you have like grim death. Whatever comes, I'm going to hold it there. That is that manliness. Manliness in the sense of, that is that courage, that is that fortitude. We stop here.